Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is LolaAjisafe here. Today we are going to be going over Put a Ring on It. Now this is still season 2, episode 7. The episode title, which kind of tells us what's going on, is Vision of Marriage and then Closure. Before we start, housekeeping rules, don't forget to like, that's the thumbs up, click the thumbs up button, drop a comment and subscribe. All right, so we're gonna kind of go into it. So I'll start with Sean and LaRonda. So pretty much, we know that I guess we're sitting down, we're just finishing up the Namaste Wusa circle from last week. And so, what's his name? Sean says yes to Terry, and more so less because he wants to now he doesn't want to operate from a corner of fear anymore. Because in the past, all the other ladies that he's kind of gone out with, he's always said, oh, well, yeah, I think I could like her, so I think I'll stop that right here. I don't want to look for any trouble. And that's from a place of fear, from his history. So according to him, he's saying that he hasn't been in a relationship that he can recollect where he was completely 100% loyal. So his first relationship where he's doing that is with LaRonda, and so that's part of his concern of not wanting to go any further with someone else that might make him step out on the side and do something that he'd later regret. But at the same time, he's now understanding that Dr. Nicole's approach is that, test your boundaries and see exactly what they are, what they mean. By pushing boundaries, you might actually learn something. So he's open to now no longer putting that, that X sign and like, all right, okay, I don't want to try that out. He's going to try it out and see and test himself. So, because if he doesn't know, he might actually, with the new thinking, he might actually pass it and then no longer kind of implement or project his fears onto LaRonda when she goes out, or even when this experiment is completed. Now, before we go into Eric and Jessica, who the couple I want to talk about next, one of the main assignments that Dr. Nicole had given the couples as a whole was to examine their vision of marriage. What did it look like, and what did they see, and what did they think they needed to be in that? And so kind of going into Eric and Jessica, they both have their dates. She has Sean and then he has Leilani. They're both kind of tiptoeing, kind of pushing the boundaries with each other. And so with this date, this time, Leilani comes to the house, and now, Jessica's acting just like, Eric would. She's like, she let her come in, she's testing, she's interrogating, she's just kind of putting all these, she's simply shadowing Eric's behavior, which is something that Dr. Nicole said she'd noticed before. But yeah, this date completely confirms that that's what she's doing. She's just shadowing that. I guess maybe it's it's payback. And funny enough, Eric is a little irritated by it. So he's irritated or perturbed that she's behaving like him. So this week, Jessica decided that she wanted to have a one-on-one with Dr. Nicole. And just to kind of discuss how she approaches relationships. So she did mention to Dr. Nicole that, she realizes that she has a guard up all the time. And so they kind of delve into it. And I think that's also part of, it might be what, Eric might be perceiving, particularly now where she feels completely defensive, so guards up, so he feels like he can't even have a conversation with her, he can't communicate, like he feels like he can't have that, rapport that he wants. So her guard being up might be part of the reason, particularly now, strengthening even more so. The camera's on, there's all these things going on, he's kind of pecking her, so she kind of, mentions it to Dr. Nicole, and of course, like a good counselor, they start pecking at the root of it, what's behind it. So they delve into her childhood, and yes, she recognizes herself or identifies herself as a Black woman, but definitely she's light-skinned with a different texture, like, I've forgotten the textures, but just like a looser curl texture of hair. And so it kind of goes to her childhood where she says that, she felt like she'd been bullied a lot, both for her skin tone as well as her hair texture. So colorism and featureism comes back into it. And unfortunately, we are the worst perpetrators of this. Anybody outside of us that does that is simply kind of copying what we do. We're doing this, and you will see that in, I don't know if she grew up in the hood, but particularly in like neighborhoods, where, the economic gap is, or rather the poverty line, they're close to the poverty line. You find a lot of people ganging up against people who have a lighter skin tone for reasons best known to them, but just generally acknowledged to be, well, if they're lighter, they have it better, or she's got that loose, long, that good hair nonsense phrase, so they're going to be picking on her. So she's run with that defensiveness to this point. And so she very easily kind of delves into that part where she throws up her barrier when she feels like she's on attack. It was something that Dr. Nicole brought up to her to try and give her perspective, that yes, she understands that she needed this, you know, machinery or this armor to protect herself, to survive that period of time. But does she realize that the armor prevents good stuff from coming in? Yes, it might prevent, you know, bad stuff from getting at her, but also it prevents everything, good and bad. So yes, she's stopping the bad stuff, but she's also stopping the good stuff. So her relationship can only go so far. Aha moment. And I think, you know what, it kind of delves into what we know as people of color, Black people, African American, whatever you want to call it, or whatever term or name or banner we call it. Honestly, particularly people who've grown up, you know, in the States, United Kingdom, outside of the continent of Africa, there is undoubtedly, to my opinion, a concept of like PTSD, because what you go through, just on a regular day, what we've taken for granted, what we just take in and just kind of like our code switching, all these things are all protective mechanisms that we've just kind of come up with to deal with it every day. You go into work, you know, your impression if you're a professional is like, yo, I have to work twice as hard to be considered equivalent. It is what it is. This is not like, oh, news. It is what it is. It's facts. And, you know, just, you know, how when you're with someone, you talk one way, when you're with someone else, you talk the other way. Just this constant perception of being judged. So it's like you're judged outside of your community just for being a shade, a hue. And then you're judged inside your community for being, you know, on that shade bracket. And it's just like, this is PTSD just kind of manifesting itself. And are we acknowledging it now as people? Yes, we are. But are we really delving into how to break it down and prevent us and our children from continuing to carry this load? I don't think we've hit it yet. We you know, it's very popular now and very trendy to talk about colorism and texturism and all these isms, but what are we doing to make sure that we're not doing that anymore? We're not, because we're harming each other. We're walking around with PTSD. I mean, you know, officers that go to, you know, to the army, they get, you know, deployed. When they come back, they have PTSD. They get treatment. We're walking around with PTSD, not even acknowledging that we need treatment. So nowadays, yeah, it's more of a talk. Everybody needs a therapist, but we haven't really gotten to like the halfway point where everyone's like, okay, yeah, I acknowledge that these things are my triggers, and these triggers really don't need to be triggers if I dealt with them, all these things. So yeah, you know, bottom line, Jessica is approaching a certain way, attacking her relationship a certain way based on how she grew up. It's the baggage she has with her. That's not, and not that she's some crazy but it's just these triggers that come up. Now, could she approach things differently? She could, but she definitely needs the tools and the machinery to put down the pain from the past to be able to approach the future differently, because we are a combination or culmination of our past, and what we carry on our shoulders is how we approach our future. It's what we attract to us. You have trauma, this popular trendy term, trauma bonding. You have trauma, you end up bonding with someone, trauma bonding, and just the cycle continues. It's like, so when do we say enough? When do you say stop? I kind of digressed a little bit, but yeah, I just thought that was a little point here. It was just kind of poignant just to hear that she had her own struggles, and that plays a part in her relationship. So Darion and Alexia. So still kind of throwing back with Darion and Alexia in that Wusa circle. So Alexia this week, she's not going to be going on any dates. She's going to work on herself, you know, possibly have a one-on-one, just kind of figure out what's going on with the new, or she's now, I guess, I won't say, I won't use the term satisfied, but I hesitate to do that. She's now being consoled, you know, with the fact, you know, he's, in the past, she heard him say that, yeah, he's going to sell his condo. And so she feels vindicated and relieved somewhat. So she's not really interested in dating anymore. She feels like this is a victory for her. So that she's put that to the side. And then, you know, of course, you know, the closure date. So Darion's going to go on his closure date with Carrie. And then, you know, as they were finishing up their Wusa circle, you know, he's talking, you know, he's talking about how they've made so much progress and blah, 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 just like that. And I, you know, this is one of the things. I think, you know, Darion's a very intelligent young man. And so, as Alexia has mentioned in the past, he has a good way of skewing conversation and thoughts in the direction he wants to. And here I feel is what he's doing, you know, talking of their progress, you know, they've done great in 5 seconds, 5 minutes, everything's been solved in 5 minutes. And his intent is not so that he thinks everyone believes it, but is he maybe in an attempt to distract Alexia and the others from what really is. That's what I'm seeing. So anyway, this week, once again, we know it's, what they see their vision of marriage being. And, with Darion, his biggest thing from jump has been not what he sees, but what he's afraid of. So now he's describing his journey. He's scared that, if he commits in that term, in terms of having a marriage, they'll lose the fun. They'll lose the intimacy. I hesitate to say right now how much fun and intimacy you guys are having right now. He feels that his way of showing commitment outside of marriage is them having a baby that'll keep them locked in. Is that how that kept you locked in with your other baby mamas? Did that, help the commitment with the other baby mamas? No. So once again, but it's like almost like it's not a compliment. And that's what happens particularly, once again, in the, what do I want to say, African American community, where particularly here, actually no, it's spreading everywhere, where a man thinks he's paying you a compliment when he says, let's have a baby together. No, it's not a compliment. To me, I can talk from my perspective. To me, it's disrespectful. Like, if you're not ready to create certain boundaries or put certain things in place to create a sense of stability, both for me and the children you want me to have, then you're being disrespectful. Because when did the baby ever keep people together? In fact, a baby will break things apart real quick if you don't focus on the commitment you have to each other. But yet, in his mind, even though he's had children with other people, he's not with them right now. In his mind, he still feels like a baby will keep them locked in. But then again, it kind of boils down to what he mentioned before. He's not had any good examples of marriage. He had, I think, was it grandparents or an aunt and uncle, an older couple that he grew up with. But he revealed that Alexa was unaware of that they were together, but it was an acrimonious, union. There was a lot of negativity. They were combative with each other, and it just wasn't a place or a space of peace. And so his main picture of what a marriage looks like makes him fear that they didn't look like they were having fun. So he definitely doesn't want to go down that road. So that's why the marriage thing for him has been something he doesn't want to do. On the other hand, Alexia, she sees, marriage as, the picket fence, kids and the dog, perfect communication. They see two different things, so it's no wonder that they're on two different places. So this week, the men have a counseling session. So the three guys are in counseling with Dr. Nicole this week. And, the heading or the thing she leads with is she believes that the man has the power to set the tone in a relationship. She never lied. It's the truth. If you think about it, she was talking about you can either make it cool or you can make it warm. Just on how you react or how you respond to what's going on. You could break it down in different ways. Something happens, she says something. You could deal with that two different ways. You could, even if you don't agree with her, you could take it in and listen to what she has to say and give her a second. Or you could flare up and, make it hot. Perfect example of what she's trying to set. So what she's trying to set for them to see the power they have in the relationships that they complain of. That they actually, because a lot of times it looks like the men are more or less kind of pointing fingers and saying, well, if she didn't do this, then everything will be okay. And she's letting them know that actually they have a power to actually completely turn things around and set the tone. But have they acknowledged or do they recognize their power? So if they're, defensive, not listening, or they're attacking or pointing, they're diminishing the relationship. And, something else that she brought up that I think we've talked about before, I can't remember where. Yeah, I think it was, and we've talked about before, where we've talked about where, the picture of what we think masculinity is, particularly for African-American males, where they've been put in a place where, as boys, they've been told not to feel, man up, put your shoulders up, don't feel, just fight. All these things which is now working against them in relationships they're in. So, she gave a good example where if a guy has been told not to feel, is in a relationship he starts feeling, then he won't know what to do with the feelings and will end up more or less kind of sabotaging himself because he's not grown up, or he's not been taught, or hasn't learned how to process feelings and how to deal with them. So it's okay for a man to cry. Because I know Sean, it kind of came up because I think Sean was saying how, Lauren had said he was a little bit emotional. And, that's what he's kind of, trying to get in touch with, or maybe trying to be less emotional. And to be honest, I'm probably guilty of telling someone a personal to man up, and that's probably something I will also pull back from saying, because it's true. It's like, on one hand, I'm saying that I do believe that men should have their emotions, they should have their feelings, should be in touch with their feelings. But on the other hand, I'm talking like, yeah, why are you acting like a woman? Like, da-da-da. So I'm gonna have to pull back. But, and this is the purpose of this show, for us to kind of reflect and look at ourselves and say, what am I doing that's detrimental? That, could be considered, toxic behavior. That's not helping. It's not helping what I'm doing, so why would I do it? And so it gets to part, of course, we get to Darion. And so Darion is like more or less doing his little Darion magic power. So he's talking about how, Alexia has told him that, if after this experience he doesn't propose, then it's over with them. That he wants Dr. Nicole to make him feel better about proposing, even though he's not ready to. I love Dr. Nicole's real cool way of disarming him. She's like, think about it. They've been doing this before, so it's like two ways. So I'm going to tell you how I see it. I'm going to tell you how Dr. Nicole, disarmed him in my mind. So he's looking like he's talking about, that why can't they just kind of do with the way they've been dealing? You've been doing the same thing for 14 years. What you going to do differently now? Yeah, he just wants them to continue as they've been going, because it's more convenient for him, knowing that she wants something different. So he wants what he wants, but he wants to dismiss what she wants. They've kind of done what he wants for the last 14 years, but he wants to continue doing he wants them to continue doing what he wants, which is that let's keep things like this and let's keep doing this. We've learned some tools here. Let's just keep doing what? But if I said that to him, he'd be definitely on the defensive. So Dr. Nicole comes to him and she's like, well, think of it like this, Alexia's tired of going around in that rat wheel, a little rat race. She's tired. She just wants to, it's either we're going to go here, we're going to go there. Like, continuing that rat race is not for her. And it's either it was a moment where it was like, ooh, bang, aha, or a moment where he knew he couldn't keep playing. Because that's the thing, like, I don't want anybody to be fooled or into thinking that when you look at Darion, that he's not smart. Extremely intelligent young man. So it's like, it's one of two. I'm not sure if he suddenly got it, or he just realized that he couldn't keep playing and pretending that he didn't get it. So he couldn't keep pushing his way because people could see past what he was trying to do. And so, in his little confessional, then he confesses that he realizes that he's been wasting Alexia's time. I don't know, part of me feels like he's known this all along, but he's been allowed to do that. He's been able to get away with it thus far, so why not continue? But I think he's getting to a point where he realizes that he can't get away with it. That Alexia is also seeing, and the people around him, particularly Dr. Nicole, are holding him accountable. And so he mentioned something about, he realized he was comfortable being stagnant. I'm telling you, dude is smart. That he even thought that, he said, look, when I look at myself and I look like a narcissist, no, I'm not calling you a narcissist. I don't think I would call you that. But clearly, he's realizing that people can see what he's doing. And he's acknowledging that too. So he realizes it, if not for Alexia, maybe for him, he's going to need to change. Because he's not being portrayed in a great light based on how he's been reacting and how people are reading him. Tends to be smart. Like, I don't know, I'm waiting to see, because we're still, need more information when you're not sure, but to me it's like it's one of two. Either he's known this all along, but he's been able to camouflage it, or he really didn't see it and he's just realizing it. It's one of two. And I think as it unfolds, I might be able to decipher and see which one it is. And regardless of which one it is, hopefully will come to an understanding that, you know what, it's not about me. I need to stop being selfish. Because the truth is, if you're in a relationship with someone, you say you love them, it should be putting them first, not putting self first. But that's an unfamiliar behavior for a lot of people who don't quite understand what love really is and what it entails and what a relationship means and what it entails to keep it going. It's all fun and games, but there's work behind it. Good work, You know how they say good troubles, good work. but it needs to be done all the same to go along a certain path. And here, actually with the guys, you know, when the guys were like, you know, Sean was actually trying to, it was going in Alexia's defense. And then, you know, Darion was like, yeah, he's actually giving up something. So he confirmed. So, yeah, I'm hearing him say that he's considering selling his condo. He's not completely hot for it because it's a great investment. I don't disagree with that. It is, you know. You hang on to that. People are rushing into Atlanta. Hold on to that. You don't know. Like, it's like, you know, back in the day in the 90s, you know, having a spot on Peachtree Street was a couple $100,000. That was it. Now, you're talking about the points. I'm talking about the mid-higher numbers of points, like 4 points, 7 points, something to have, you know, property or land on Peachtree Street. So it makes sense as, you know, the longer he holds on to it, the more his investment grows. Because that's, you know, we really need as people to hold on to things like that, which is part of wealth creation, as opposed to just, because, yeah, you can sell and hold the money, but that money could have quadrupled if he held on to it longer. And he's not selling it out of need. He's selling out just to pacify her. So I just feel like he more or less should look at his behavior. Then, but that's me. So let me not tell them what to do, but let me come back from there. So anyway, so let's go into the closure date with Kai. And what we, you know, come in, she comes in, not crazy about, yeah. You know, sometimes when you go to war, even when you dress up a certain way, that's part of the intimidation. How you sit is part of the, even before you bring out your gun, bring out your knife, everything, see all this, plays as part of the intimidation. Her outfit choice for me was like, yo, sis, like you came to war. So let's go into it. So according to her, she'd been ghosted for 10 days. She heard from, whether it was text or call, nothing. He just kind of left it cold. And I think this is the reason why Dr. Nicole, of course, you know, as a producer, she's know what's going on. It's come to her attention that Brad just blew her off. And apparently more than just, you know, a couple dates, more than just let's have a kiki and have a drink and share some, you know, what they call it, some sushi. More than that, more happened. So that required more than just cut off. But that happens all the time. Dude come through there, and that's, you never hear from them again. But Dr. Nicole was like, not on my watch, which is useful for us. So anyway, girl comes in. I feel she's not in her battle gear, first of all. Like the outfit just wasn't battle gear worthy. I'm just saying. So she does some funny little handshake, sits down. Yeah, and then she goes on to say how she felt that she was disrespected. You know what? I think she disrespected herself first to allow the disrespect to come in. It's like, if you recollect the dates they had, she went into the whole situation, full disclosure. You know how some people will say, well, you know, got with him, we started dating. I didn't know he was married. I didn't know he had a girlfriend. You went into the situation as part of the design of the show, knowing the situation, knowing what was going on, but you still went ahead and you were intimate with him. I don't know if that was for the wish that would make things go further. I don't know. But I think any dating coach worth their beans, because there's a coach for everything nowadays, any dating coach will tell you that you don't cross that line until, you know, you have confirmed monogamy, where it's just you and that person. Not when there's still somebody there. Let's play devil's advocate and say that, you know, I'm playing and say that, you know what, Darion had said that I'm done with her, it's only you. But that's still not the situation because the show's not over. So that was the first mistake that was made by her, knowing that Bra had a partner. And then she goes on to say that, you know, she feels he's confused. He's not your business. So she says something about how, yeah, he didn't really care about her feelings because he goes to her for 10 days. And he goes ahead and says, real quick, might I add, that, yeah, I wouldn't have called you to set up this date if I didn't care. Bruh, first of all, you didn't initiate this whole action. This whole thing started from Dr. Nicole. And I'm sure Miss Kai can see that now, which is why she's probably trying to blow up his spot. If there's a spot to blow up left. I don't know what's occurred because this happened a while back. But yeah, first lie. So no, so and right there. So right there, that tells you, no, he don't care. No, he didn't care. He wanted to have some fun. You made it available. He kept him moving. Am I taking any responsibility from him saying that he's not wrong? No, I'm not. But his wrong and your wrong are not, they're not connected. It's not based on each other. You both made the wrong decision. You were both wrong. But if I focus on you right now, Miss Kai, is like, you were wrong. You knew he had a partner. You knew what was going on. You knew what the deal was. You knew this all, but for some reason, once again, this age-old rule where you think, oh, if I lay with him, I'm different. You should ask yourself this question. If he's still in such a situation, but wants to do something with you, how much does he respect you? How much do you respect yourself to allow yourself to be in that situation? And clearly, I don't know, yes, you played yourself. I really do think you played yourself. And then you went on to talk about the sex and how good the sex was. And you know what I think? When I look at the situation, it's like, so for guys, they have this reputation. Yeah, they want to have fun. They want to have a notch in their belt. They do this thing. But this is a situation where, or is it a situation where the predator became the prey? You know how when they say it's no fun when the rabbit got the gun, because now it's turned around on him. So if we focus on what he did wrong, so first of all, his relationship is not over, but he's in the midst of a show that's been recorded, televised, about him doing certain things to build up a relationship. And in the midst of this show, he goes ahead and has an indiscretion in the midst of the reality show. What does that tell us? There is a certain amount of, for him, first of all, a lack of self-control, a lack of self-worth. He cannot read the room. Did he not, and for someone as intelligent as I think he is, did he not think it would come out? Did he read the person, Kai? Like she had none to lose. She's not running for office, so she's not trying to keep a secret. What made him think that she was going to keep the secret after he ghosted her? Like, there's symbiotic relationship. You get something, I get something. You can't just get something and she's not going to get something and then she's still going to play along. No. So I'm not sure what his thinking was. If we focus on just him, he's in a relationship. He says he's trying to fix his relationship. He'd actually stopped talking with her because he wants to focus on Lexia. I don't know what he was thinking. But you know what I think is important right now is what would be nice, and I don't know if they will do that, is not so much, okay, this moment was good, where he had to be faced. His feet were put to the fire with the camera rolling. So now we all know that he messed up. So he can't deny it, he can't lie about it, because he probably lie about it, pretend like nothing happened, because we wouldn't have known the better if they hadn't had that closure date. But now the question now is like, why do we as women put ourselves in those situations? This jump off energy or side chick energy, like, why do we do that? What are we hoping will change? I mean, do some side chicks become the main chick? They do. But there's this saying too about karma, like you lose them where you get them. It works both ways, but yeah. So it's like, so why do we continue to, and that's what I would love to, that's what I would love to see. I guess she's not part of the show, but I'd love to see Dr. Nicole sit down with Kai and really break it down as to what Kai thought she was getting out of it. Why did Kai want to sleep with someone she knew was in a relationship? What makes someone think like that? Like, yeah, what did she think was going to be different? And then now she doesn't even care. She's just kind of blurting it out. Like, yeah, I slept with him. Yeah, the sex was good. Like, do women still think that good sex will keep a man? Because she brought it up. Is that what you think? Let me answer the question. In my opinion, no, it doesn't. It didn't, as you can see, and it hasn't, and it won't. There has to be something more, something else. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to say just for a guy, but at the end of the day, for some people, it's just a release. A great release, but a release all the same. And once that valve release has been hit, back to regular life. So it's like, I almost want to appeal to women who find themselves in a situation to dig deep and really ask themselves questions like, what are they getting out of it? What do they want out of it? And if they were in the opposite position, how would they feel? Because men are doing this because they can get away with it. If they couldn't get away with it, they wouldn't be doing it. If they weren't held accountable, they won't keep doing it. But for some reason, one, we're not holding them accountable. And then, you know, the woman on the other end are doing the same. So both sides, both the woman, the main woman, and the side chick, they're both not holding that guy in the middle accountable. He's not being held accountable, so he continues to roam the streets. Guys, that was the breakdown of this episode, and I hope to be able to delve into this issue to discuss like what her thinking was. What does she hope for? I mean, because as a human being, we all have hopes and dreams and desires and wishes, you know, vision board, whether it's written down or if it's pictures, there's something we all want. And it's like, how does she feel doing that was going to work towards her vision for herself? Because at the end of the day, it's like, I don't believe in labeling people as bad people, but I like to label the behavior. The behavior she displayed and he displayed didn't make sense, but they're both acting like they had nothing to lose. Let's see. What does she have to lose? And we know that what he has to lose is relationship. I don't know what she has to lose, you know, other than, you know, the double standards. So people gonna be looking at her crazy, but I'm more interested into just getting to know behind the scenes, like what she was thinking. Who is she? How does she think? What's her history like? What's her story? What has she been exposed to? What kind of relationships she's been in? What kind of, you know, what's her level of self-worth? How does she really see herself? Does she really value herself? Does she think she has something to offer? Does she have respect for herself? Not as a diss, but who is she? And why is she okay knowing that this was a televised show, finding herself in that position? And I'm glad that she disclosed it, but she's going to face judgment. And from here, you know, the part of me pities her, because I wonder what would make a woman do that, and in front of cameras at that. That's one of my sisters, you know, and I'd love to break it down with her, figure it out. Anyway, guys, it's been real. Definitely appreciate you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Lola, over and out.